One more time, Shabbat Shalom. To be honest with you, I'm somewhat exhausted to be teaching during this time of COVID-19. I would like to be talking about something else, moving away from merely talking about this virus, but it seems like I'm not able to move away to any other discussion. Because indeed, a lot of things nowadays remind us about this sickness. And there's still so much that we can learn from it. But the situation is becoming rather calm. But humans can't live without any fear. So now we are speaking in the news. They're less speaking about COVID-19 because, as you can see, we are starting to adopt and becoming used to this. And humans hope that we would not die because of this pandemic. It's in the news. The news are sharing less information about it. Several weeks ago, it was the only thing that the news could talk about. Nowadays, in Germany at least, the news still talk a lot about it, don't understand me wrong, but less in comparison to how it has been. And yesterday, we saw on the news, we saw that again we have these Fridays for Future demonstrations. Even if it's only online through social platforms. But humans can't live without concentrating their attention to some kind of problem. And when we speak about the protection of our environment, young people say that we are afraid of what might happen. We live in fear that this earth, this environment that we are dwelling in, might fall apart. That it won't survive. That it will change and be no longer the way we know it. And they say, and the youth say that, how can you live knowing that you may harm the future generations? The pandemic might kill people. Our environment, if it will become worse with the climate change, then we might die. People love, well, maybe not love, but people want to see this end of the world. In movies, movies often present how the world will come to an end, or scientific explanations that some kind of planet or force from the universe shall come and bring destruction upon the world by collision. And people watch often, most of the time, enjoyingly watch movies about catastrophes or the end of the world. Just recently, it was popular to watch movies about zombies, how the whole world is captured and overtaken by such zombies. Or earlier also, there were a lot of movies about viruses and how they cover the whole humanity and bring an end. And earlier, in fact, the first movie that I saw on an electrical device, such as a recorder, and by the way, I kind of feel old right now. Um, it was the movie The Terminator, where it was the first Terminator where the actor, the main actor, was still young. And in this movie, you we saw how the machines and machines are bringing destruction to this world, and it's evident how humankind is contemplating and thinking about the end of the world and how that would look like. And in fact, that's very human and very normal. And I understand that that youth is afraid about their future, about their life. And they worry about the world that they will live in future. And I understand parents who worry who care for their children. And I also understand how grandparents can worry and care for their grandchildren. I also can relate and understand how children can worry about their grandparents. And when we think about about the end of the world in some kind of fashion, it's somehow obviously it creates a sense of fear which this fear we want to overcome by either happy ending, or we watch this movie, for example, and we think to ourselves, no, this is all just science fiction. The movie's over, we switched off the television, and we're like, nah, that's not true. And we look out, sun, sky, and you think, no, that can't be true. You just had you were just nervous about the ending of the world, but then you switch off this movie, and you're like, okay, well, this ain't true. This pandemic, yes, it's not easy, and it's true, but we see improvement now. Yes, we do see, they do talk about a new wave, but perhaps we could even survive this new wave. Or maybe there will be a new antivirus. Or maybe new medication or vaccine. The climate is changing, but we still hopefully can do something about it. But most important, we have to influence the politics so that they will change something. Let's cancel all the flights, all the logistics, and everything should be fine. And everything should be fine. There is a solution. It is good to wait. It's good to think that way. But today, I would like to talk about how this world has no hope. I'm realistically speaking right now that what we're reading in the Bible is that everything shall come to an end of this world. And I hope it's not in your life that it should happen. And I hope it's not in my life that it happens. And I hope that it's not in the life of my grandchildren. But I guarantee you that this all will come to an end. And I'm not sure that it's going to be zombies. And also, I also know that it won't be a flood, because that happened already in Noah's time. It won't be an international virus, pandemic, but it will be a catastrophe that will bring an end to all that we know today, as we know it today. If someone is afraid, if you are afraid about your future, you have a justified hope. You are correct. But let's take one step at a time. The end of times is connected to the events, is related and connected with Yeshua's second coming, with Messiah's coming back. At first, I would like to discuss the rabbinical tradition of how it is traditional to expect the coming of the Messiah. And what will happen as in the end times. The first sign that the rabbinical tradition emphasizes, especially the most true one, is that the land of Israel will bring fruit. In the Talmud, in the Sanhedrin of the Talmud, it is spoken about it, and they reference the prophet Ezekiel, where it is spoken. In Ezekiel chapter 36, nation of Israel has to eat fruit in their nation, and there must be many. Look at Israel. Do we have that? Of course, yes, we do. Well, we have one sign. That's great. Let's go to the next one. The second sign is that the Messiah will find or recognize those that in his nation that were not faithful. In the Talmud Sota, it's spoken of that. This part of the Talmud is directed toward good relationships with people. And it is written there that people will be very mean and will drink a lot of wine and kind of becoming less aware and conscious in order to not bow to the Lord. Connections between people, among people, will be in a bad condition, and family ties as well. So here we see disbelief or unfaithfulness and drunkards. It's today as well as it was earlier. I'm not sure how I can compare the times. I'm not sure if it's more now than it was in the past. We think it's really bad right now, but as you know, it can always grow worse. So this sign is also fulfilled, but maybe you can question that one as well, the fulfillment of it. The third sign. before Yeshua's return, before Messiah's return, all moral communities and all family conventions and foundations will be destroyed. So in other words, community, all that is connected with the Torah and the Bible, all the morals, nor the fellowship or community among people, nor family ties, or the fellowship between, for example, two people, whether it be romantic or just friendship. It will, all these will not look like, will not conform to God's standards. And this part of the Talmud Sota talks about that. And it refers, or it citates, quotes the prophet Micah. And it will happen, as it is said, that a relative will stand against or come against relative, and there will be a lot of tension, especially in familiar ties within families. And exactly of this time, COVID-19, this isolation, it is becoming worse. In fact, police has to now come more often home to families because domestic violence has increased. Do we have this today? Yes. How do we measure it? Is it less now or more than it was in the present? Is it possible that it could become even worse than right now? Possibly. It's all in question. So we put a check mark, but we add a question mark to the side. The fourth sign. The generation before the return of the Messiah, the number of the wise and those who trust the Torah will decrease. And the nation of Israel will be in misery and sorrow. And this is also written in the Talmud passage part of the Sanhedrin. And this they refer to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 36, where it is written that people will be exhausted and stop supporting each other. Sorry, not Deuteronomy, but Exodus. Exodus chapter 32, verse 36. And it is also written, and in the Jewish and with Jewish interpretation or Jewish tradition, we interpret it that way, that this means that there's no one who focuses on the Torah and relies on the Torah. So do we have this nowadays? To an effect, yes. In this culture that we are living right now, the number of believers is decreasing. And in Jewish communities, among the Jews, we are less and less are listening to the Torah, and even less to the wisdom of the Messiah. listening to the wisdom of Messiah. So here we also set a check mark, but with a small question mark. The next sign, the fifth sign, when you see the generation when you see when you see a certain kind of gloom or cloudiness, misery among the nation of Israel, among the generation, then know for sure that the Messiah will come. So we also see that nowadays the nation is in misery. So we can set a check mark by this sign, but a small question mark again, because how do we measure it? It can become even worse than it is right now. The sixth sign, it is written that right before the return of the Messiah, all of government of this world will be overcome by evil. What in the New Testament is called the rule of the Antichrist, and this is described in passage of Jerome. Does this apply for today? Not entirely. It all can come to it very quickly. In fact, pay attention to how easy it is to manipulate a person. You can set a human into isolation in his home or in their home, and we can enjoy and rejoice with the use of internet, that we can even so communicate and stay in touch. But realize that all this you can shut down. You can switch it off in 1 minute or 1 second. And turn this off and you can rule. This is a very easy way to isolate each people and rule over them. Has this time come now? I'm not sure, but you see and I see how easy this sign, for the sign to be fulfilled. It's very easy to rule over humans, especially in the present time. Because of all these communication, when you place humans into fear, then you can do all you want with them. We already talked about this. Explain to a person that he will or may die soon, and then tell them that there is a way against it or something to prevent that. If a person or government that you trust tells this to you, then in order to save your life and in order to save the lives of your dear ones, you will be ready to do everything you may be able. You'll say, pour this into my cup, do this, I'll do whatever you need of me. But don't touch my life and the life of my dear ones. Did this time come? I'm not sure. Probably not yet. I, in my with my human nature, I hope that it hasn't happened yet. But just pay attention how easy it is to manipulate and rule over us. And just see how easy it is when the Antichrist comes or the bad government. How easy it is to rule over all of the nations, especially now because all the world is connected with the internet and communication. Today, nowadays, in the current time, we are truly a global network that is connecting each one of us. And whoever will will get this power over this global network, he will earn, or he will be holding a great power, at least a very large power, over all of mankind. And so I want to underline and emphasize that there is that danger. And it will not be correct of me to undermine this danger. And there's one more sign. And the seventh sign that I will now give sound to says the following. The Messiah will not return until the power of Israel is not exhausted. And this is also written in the section of Sanhedrin. And again, it's emphasized until Israel has no more strength, no more power, no more hope, the Messiah will not come again. And this is exactly what I would like to focus our attention on. Until Israel has hope that is connected with this life and connected in this life, the Messiah will not come again. Because no one is waiting for him. Israel will expect him when there is no more hope. When just in general, no hope left. Until that happens, until I see hope that the economics will improve, of not only of this country, or of Israel, but the whole world. Until I have hope that there will be medication against COVID-19, until I see that there's hope and youth going out for these demonstrations for Friday for Futures, I understand that this is normal human hope. And this is normal and natural. And psychologically speaking, this is correct. And God also created us as hopeful creatures. But until we hold on to this hope that is centered, that everything will be good in this world, then Yeshua has nothing to do. Then the Messiah has nothing to do on this earth. And often we as rabbi or pastors, we speak about hope and how the Lord will help, and there is hope. Let us pray and let us unite all of Germany in prayer. Let us pray that this will come to an end. That this will come to an end, and then something new will come. But still, hope remains, and we will hope and we will preaching about hope, and we will tell each other that everything will be good, that Yeshua is king and rules, and he will heal, he will protect, he will help. Until we say this, we are right. But, however, the Messiah, there's no need for him to return. Perhaps it sounds odd, but the purpose of Messiah's return is to deliver us. Makes only sense when there's no other hope. We don't want to die because we are not ready inwardly. Why? There are many reasons, but one of the most well-known is that there's still hope. There's still so much that I want to do. I still want to live. I want to see my children and grandchildren. I want to celebrate their wedding. I want to travel. I want to still read and discover so much more. I want to do something. I want to finish my work and enjoy my retirement. I still want to serve so much. I still want to preach so many more times. Help, serve. I still want to be a witness to so many more people about Yeshua. And I have plans. I have hope that everything will be good. There's still so much I can do. And until we think this way, we are normal humans. And in fact, quite healthy, psychologically speaking. And in fact, in Yeshua, we have his help. But until we think this way, there's no need for the Messiah to return. I know that this world, this earth, will be destroyed, and don't be offended. Don't be offended with my blunt speaking, but we will later today read a passage where it is clearly written that there shall be an end. But I'm sure that Yeshua, before everything will be destroyed, Yeshua will come for his believers, for those who are faithful and follow him, and he will take us to him. I hope that I will not have to live through all these catastrophes, because Yeshua will bring me back, take me to him. And this will happen sudden, in an instant, 1 second, and I'm there with him. And I'll be with him forever. And I want to tell you, and I'm happy and I'm looking and longing for this. But at the same time, I would want to be honest with you. I don't always want this. Like, for example, just hold on. Not yet. Don't take me in right now. I don't know how it is there, but I still have hope here. Yeshua, Messiah, please just wait 1 more second. There's still, just be a little more patient. There's still so many people to be saved here. And listen, I still have some things to do here. I still want to understand some things and discover others, to change something in this world. Yeshua, just wait a second. I still have a vision. I have a plan. Just please bless my plans. And if you, and if you bless them already, then just be patient one more second. I'm not talking about stopping stopping some kind of planet or destruction of the world. I'm just and I hope but I'm talking about the fact that about Yeshua taking me into his kingdom, and I want to tell him, just Yeshua, wait one more second, a little longer. Do we have an agreement? This is how I often think when I'm sincere and honest with myself and with the Lord. And of course, you are probably listening to me, and you are thinking about yourself, what are you saying? Where is your faith and your spirituality? Well, probably you are very faithful spiritually, but I am just honest. I'm sincere. And that's why I'm being quite blunt and telling you how I feel. But when I don't have hope, when plans get cancelled, when all my plans are cancelled, then I look up into the sky and I address Yeshua. This would be a good time to take me in, to pick me up. And however that would happen, but maybe this is a good point right now. Until that point where we are ready to be and meet with Yeshua, until we have hope that in this earth, in this world, everything will be good. We don't need the return of the Messiah. This is true. And I really want to re-emphasize and repeat how it helps to have hope. And that Yeshua does give us hope and fulfill and comfort our. But the Messiah his return is not needed, because we still want to live on this earth, holding on to our hope in this world. And that's why it's good to have fear. And it's good to be expecting the end of times, because it reminds us that our hope in this world will come to an end. And our main hope and only hope, foundational hope, will be his kingdom, and for which we are probably not ready. But Yeshua is making us ready. He is preparing us because he shed his blood for us. Because he gave himself as a sacrifice for our sins. The punishment that you deserve, he took on himself. That for which you should be judged for which you should have endured God's judgment, he took on himself. He was killed for you. He rose from the dead so that you could live with him, so that there could be a resurrection and such thing as rising from the dead. And this is what I'm talking about, this rising from the dead, as I understand the majority of us. this is something that we don't pay attention to as much, because we are not in such a bad pain yet. This raising from the dead is only needed for those who are dying, but for the young and for those who are still healthy in whatever age, they still need this earth, this life, and I understand it. But it shall come to an end. Um, the Second Peter, chapter 3. Please turn to Second Peter, chapter 3.
Я буду читать 2 Петра, 3 глава, 7 стиха. Ich werde aus dem 2. Petrus, 3. Kapitel, von 7. Vers ablesen. До 14. А нынешние небеса и земля, содержимые тем же словом, сберегаются огню на день суда и погибели нечестивых людей. Одно то не должно быть сокрыто от вас.
2 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. But the heavens and the earth, which now exist, are kept in store by the same word, reserved for fire until the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. But beloved, do not forget this one thing, that with the Lord 1 day is as 1,000 years.
И когда небеса с шумом придут, стихии же, разгоревшись, разрушатся.
And 1,000 with the Lord 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day. Verse 9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some count slackness, but is long-suffering toward us, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. Verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Both the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. Therefore, since all these things will be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in holy conduct and godliness, looking for and hastening the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be dissolved, being on fire, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells. Verse 14. Therefore, beloved, looking forward to these things, be diligent to be found by him in peace, without spot and blameless. I trust in this word. I know it's true. The way it will happen will be much worse and more fear-invoking than all the science fiction movies. All this that the young as well as older generations fear shall come, whether it will be earlier or later. You nor I cannot decide this. It is in God's hands. But the end will come. And it is to be preferred that we are prepared for it. Be pure,
будь праведным.
clean, be righteous.
Я знаю, это практически невозможно.
I know it's practically impossible, but exactly
И когда
for
это
that,
будет разрушено,
because of that, Yeshua is there.
есть то, что
When everything will come to an end, there will be something. There will be something.
то, где мы спасемся.
There's something, a foundation that is stable, that we can be delivered. Like in times of Noah, the ark was the stable foundational. Just when everything will be destroyed and coming to an end, Yeshua will be our ark, as in times of Noah, and he will pick us up and take us to him. There's nothing to be afraid of. It is written here. You are afraid of the end of the world? Correct. You should be afraid. He will come. The Messiah will come. Sorry, the end of the world will come, and it'll be fear-invoking, the worst that you can ever imagine. But there is a chance for you
В ковчеге.
to be in this ark, in Yeshua.
Приди к нему сейчас
Come to him now
и скажи ему:
and tell him,
Иешуа,
Yeshua,
спаси меня,
save me,
очисти меня,
cleanse me,
прости меня.
forgive me.
Мне нужна твоя жертва.
I need your sacrifice.
Я хочу быть с тобой
I want to be with you
в твое время, тогда, когда ты это посчитаешь.
according to your timing,
Возьми меня к себе.
and take me to you.
Я иду за тобой.
I follow you.
Если ты за ним следуешь,
And if you already follow him,
следуй.
then follow.
Будь готов.
Be ready. Be steadfast. The time will come, and will be soon.
По его учению, по его слову.
Live according to his word,
Сделай все возможное.
or at least try. Do your best to do the most,
Больше людей вошло в его ковчег.
and try to help as most people for most people to come into this ark. The end of the world will come, and it will be terrible, and our only hope is Yeshua. Come to him and go and follow him. Amen.